Welcome into the Fox Illinois 2017 NFL Draft Special. I'm your host, Louie Del Rio. Tonight I'll tackle everything you need to know. And you know the great Harry Carey is above us right now, screaming, "Holy cow, Cubs win, Cubs win, Cubs win." How about doing it here, father, son, getting to witness it together?
It's priceless. It is priceless.
And now, sports with Louie Del Rio.
The Chicago Cubs are once again World Series champions. It's the greatest moment in sports history, so it's only fitting they celebrated with the greatest parade in sports history. At that moment, he said he knew he wanted to be a basketball player and he wanted to play for his hometown team. Well, 26 years later, that lifelong dream is now a reality. Just to give you an idea of how big this sneak peek is, I was even willing to wear a hard hat and mess up my hair. Just a little more on my take on Brandon Paul. How does this guy not have a long-term contract? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Actually, two things don't make sense to me right now. How he doesn't have an NBA roster spot and why grown men are wearing rompers. It's fitting that it's Halloween night because the thought of this defense going up against Jay Cutler tonight is just downright spooky.
Is running to Coach Brooks.
You running around just keep you a little young too, or trying to stay young?
Yeah, no, I'm hurting like hell right now, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Illinois stole your basketball coach, so you still came and showed love. That was pretty cool.
Just hugged his neck yesterday, him and his wife, sweet people. You guys are lucky to get him.
Fox Champaign sports director Louie Del Rio has more on tonight's top story. Louie.
The heart of the Illini athletic department is finally in place, and he has a whole lot of orange and blue running through his veins. And if the Cubs win the World Series, it'll be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And well, that's because sliced bread also didn't exist back in 1945. That makes it 7-0. The next possession, the same two connect 0 to 100 real quick.
He's even smart enough to recognize different faces and gestures as Louie is dancing behind the cameras there. All right, Louie, are you going to start your stuff now that you're in front of the camera?
Woo! Like moonwalk?
There you go. There you go.
Floyd was considered the biggest boom or bust in this year's draft, but with Ryan Pace moving up 2 spots to get him, obviously he sees boom written all over him. What channel was the World Series on in 1945?
2? Well, NBC. 5, I was gonna say. I was gonna say that the network is probably what he's looking for.
You figure if you use all the networks, you might get it right. The only problem is the World Series wasn't televised in 1945. The Illini have yet to win a game in the Big Ten, and they've lost 4 in a row. But you know what the surefire cure is for any losing streak? Rutgers. And the Preds brought Smashville to Chicago tonight, crushing the Blackhawks 5-0 to take a commanding 2-0 series lead. And now the Hawks have been shut out in consecutive playoff games for the first time in 15 years. All 32 NFL GMs are watching right now. Why should they take a chance and draft you?
I am a great player. A wild man. Just know it's wild man coming.
Injuries all over the field, and they've had to turn to a third-string sophomore quarterback. Still today, the Illini have a chance at a bowl game. No one is exempt. Everyone has their own weaknesses they just can't seem to overcome. Superman has his kryptonite. America has Kim Kardashian. I have Diet Coke. And the Pittsburgh Pirates have Jake Arrieta. Then Matt Joyce, I don't want to be a Pirate. Now, Bears fans absolutely hate the fact that their team moved up to draft Trubisky, but you know who's going to be loving it? Jordan Howard fantasy owners. Listen to me, people. Go get him. He's going to win you a fantasy title. Known for splashing water on his teammates after a big play. So you know when I saw him today, I had to get in on the fun. I'm feeling hot. We're smack dead in the middle of Chicago and St. Louis. And when it comes to sports, a lot of houses divided. You got to pick a side. And with the Blackhawks and Blues in the Winter Classic, I have a feeling a lot of family members are unfriending each other on Facebook today.
I know, Louie's reaction right next to me. Right? Who would do that to him?
Hart? Why could they? I love Kevin Hart. I hope they came up short.
Yeah.
I hope when they went in there to steal from him, they came up short. Look at them having fun, and they get to party, finally, like it's 1908.
And now, sports with Louie Del Rio.
Wild card weekend wrapping up. 2 games today. We'll start with the late game. The Packers hosting the Giants, and all week the talk was about the Giants and that Miami boat trip. But you know, it's Aaron Rodgers who's cruising into the playoffs. 18 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in his last 7 games. So which way would the tide flow? To the frozen tundra, the G-Men receivers feeling the effects of that boat trip early. First, Odell Beckham Jr., he drops a TD pass here. Then a minute later, Sterling Shepard, he'll drop 6 points. I guess their hand's still a little slippery from that suntan lotion. Well, New York was moving the ball all half, but just 2 field goals to show for it, and you can't do that against A-Rod because he can do this. Look at this man dancing with the stars. He'll find Davante Adams in the corner of the end zone. And then 6 seconds to go in the half. He can't do it again. Can he? 50 yards out. This man always has his prayers answered. That Hail Mary last year against the Cardinals. Olivia Munn, and now this throw up to Randall Cobb. Falls right into his hands in the back of the end zone. And I guess you can say then that just took the wind out of the Giants' sails because it was Green Bay, all Green Bay in the second half, and all Rodgers and Cobb late in the third. Here for their second TD, 21-13 Green Bay, and then midway through the fourth, the hat trick. A 20-yard touchdown connection makes it 31-13. Rodgers finishes with 362 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the Packers steamroll the Giants 38-13.
It's unfortunate.
I promise I'm done with the boat jokes, but I'm not done with Miami because the Dolphins were in Pittsburgh today. AFC wildcard game. The Finns dominated the Steelers back in Week 6, but right now it's a whole different world. Ryan Tannehill is out for the year, and the Steelers are finally healthy. And it showed right away to Heinz Field. You know, the Killer Bees have all never played in the same playoff game together. Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. Well, today we found out what we've been missing early on. First drive, Big Ben finds Brown 50 yards to the house. That makes it 7-0. The next possession, the same two connect, 0 to 100 real quick. Another 50-yard hookup. Brown finished with 124 yards. It was 14-0 before he could even find the dip. And then that third member of the Killer Bees, he was buzzing all around the Dolphins defense. Incredible performance. He gets to the 1-yard line here. Then he'll punch it in. So Pitt was up 20-6 at the half. And then the third quarter, the bell was ringing again. The patience and the burst of this man, just a work of art. 2 touchdowns on the day. Then check out the patience here. Not many people can do that. He had 167 yards. Steelers' all-time single-game rushing record. Not even Ace Ventura can save the Dolphins in this one. The Steelers roll past the Finns 30-12. All right, the divisional round is set. All right, now to hoops. Assembly Hall has been a house of horrors for the Illini. They haven't won there recently, and they haven't really won there historically. And it continued again on Saturday. Another nightmarish game that will haunt the orange and blue. To the haunted house in Bloomington. The Illini were seeing ghosts early. Indiana began the game on a 15-0 run. The Illini didn't score a basket until 6 minutes into the game, and then they just could never recover. Here, Devontae Green from the corner. The Illini were down 19 at the half, trying to make a comeback, and this guy doing whatever he can. Malcolm Hill, he had a team-high 21 points. And with this next basket here, he moves into 10th place on the Illinois all-time scoring list, but that was really the only positive because the Hoosiers would be too much late in the game. A 3-pointer here, and then OG Anunoby all the way from Pawnee. Indiana goes on to win 96-80. 2 Big Ten road games for the Illini, 2 double-digit losses.
I told the guys in the locker room we had to make some changes. So.
And now some good news, at least for the Illini. They're back home this week.
When you die, that does not mean that you lose to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live.
It's hard to believe, but that speech was given 3 years ago. 6 months later, Stuart Scott passed away from cancer. Today, he would have been 52 years old. And I just want to take the moment to say happy birthday, Stu, and thank you. If it wasn't for Stuart Scott and his genuine passion, flair, and love for both sports and storytelling, I probably wouldn't be standing here today. Now, I grew up in the era where SportsCenter would run over and over and over again. Highlights on rerun till the break of dawn. And he became a part of my life, my routine. Every morning was Pop-Tarts and Booyahs, and every night was 3 cookies and a challah. I always loved sports, but watching Stuart Scott was the first time I felt like I really could do it for a living. Be like him, mainly because he was like me. As a kid growing up in New York City, we spoke different, and he spoke like me. He spoke like my friends. He wore an earring on camera and said, "What's good?" when welcoming us into SportsCenter. I mean, that's cool. He made me feel comfortable, like he was talking to me. And you know, I never saw him as doing it for the African-American culture or for the hip-hop culture. I just saw him simply doing it for the be-yourself culture. Now, sure, he was African-American, and he dropped LL Cool J verses in his highlights, but his confidence told me, embrace who you are, love who you are, and the world will learn to love you. In his posthumous memoir, Every Day I Fight, he wrote, life consisted of 2 dates with a dash in between. And he ended it by writing these 4 words, make the dash count. He made his dash count. He made it count so much that he helped me and countless others do the same. And that, more than any of his other accomplishments, makes Stuart Scott truly cooler than the other side of the pillow. 1 time is a fluke, 2 times is a coincidence, and 3 times is a trend, and Cubs fans are hoping 4 times is not a problem. For the 4th time this postseason, the Cubs were shut out, including last night's 1-0 loss, as the Indians have taken a 2-1 lead in this World Series, and the bats have gone silent at the most inopportune time.
2006, you led them to a Super Bowl. So kids here in the state, mostly Bears fans, have watched you, have watched those teams growing up. How important is that pedigree in recruiting?
I think it's very important.
Defense gave up an opening drive touchdown. So not the start Bears fans wanted to get off to, but they're already putting themselves in a better mood, as one Bears fan yelled out as he was walking out of Soldier Field tonight. He said, "Hey, we still have the Cubs." Guys, the fans, as they were coming into the arena tonight here at the United Center, were given these rally towels, 1 goal. And, of course, that goal is to get back to the Stanley Cup final. The Bulls haven't made anything easy for themselves this season, playing down to their competition, just like they did in Brooklyn on Saturday against the Nets. But right now it's simple. Win their final 2 games of the season here at home, and they're in the playoffs. Ready? Go.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Cubs are gonna win today.
The Cubs are sending it back to Cleveland. 2 more wins, and they can call it World Series champions. These fans are partying like it's 1945, but they really want to party like it's 1908, and they got 2 more wins to do it. Reporting here from Wrigley Field, I'm Louie Del Rio, Fox, Illinois. National Signing Day is supposed to be a day of celebration. Years of hard work achieved, a lifetime of dreams realized. For some, that's exactly how it plays out. For our Fox Illinois Athlete of the Year, DJ Lee, it's playing out a lot different.
But not telling us anything was the part that really was an emotional wreck.
The recruiting process, years of college coaches selling a dream, and high school kids trying to reach them.
Me going on all these visits, I thought I would have like a lot of options by now, and a lot of things are falling through now.
Probably the most emotional thing I've ever experienced ever in life.
The St. Thomas More quarterback thought he had it all figured out. The kid who led Central Illinois in passing yards and total touchdowns caught the attention of a big-time program, the University of Louisville.
They're such a big school, such a big program. They ended up having the Heisman winner. I thought that it was going to be set. I was going to have a lot of options to choose from.
Jackson keeps it. Gets blocks on the edge.
And Louisville was the best option. Head coach Bobby Petrino and the Cardinals offered DJ a full athletic scholarship. Then him and his mom were on the sidelines for Louisville, Florida State, one of the biggest college football games of the year.
It was like a big, big game, and I knew that Louisville was going to invite their biggest recruits because they want them to go to the school. So when I got an invite, I was surprised. When I got the invite, I was surprised.
Just sitting in those stands, and the things that came across my mind was, I wonder how much season tickets are. I wonder what seat I'm going to be sitting in. I can't wait to see them on TV. It's just you start planning ahead and thinking and having so much hope of what the future is about to bring to you.
But then the communication stopped. The more Louisville rose in the national rankings, the less DJ and his mom heard from them.
They never actually told me that I didn't have a scholarship. They stopped communicating.
It was 6 days before signing. I get a text from head recruiter Dave. I was like, well, we're kind of stuck. We really, we figured out by now that the offer for Louisville is kind of not there anymore, and we get it. And he was like, yeah, we're really sorry about that.
That was the moment they learned it's a cruel business. A verbal commitment means nothing. He had passed on a dozen other schools thinking he had found his home. And because of the big name like Louisville, a dozen other schools didn't waste their time recruiting him.
And they would all be confused why they're getting my film when I have offer from Louisville, they have no chance. So it was kind of hurt me because a lot of schools backed off because of the big-time offer from Louisville.
Now, the best player in the area still has no idea where he's going to school next year. As everyone turns their attention to the class of 2018, DJ, the head of the 2017 class, continues to look for his new home.
When it's right and when he gets the right offer, he'll know it. He'll know it, and there won't be a question.
I feel like it is a blessing in disguise because I still am going to play in college, and that was my ultimate goal. It wasn't to go D1 It wasn't to go to a Power 5 school, start quarterback, start at any position. It was just to go to college, get a good education. It's just, I'm still blessed that I still have the opportunity to play at the next level.